Hi, friends. Thank you for being with us today. This is Sunil Chandy, and this is Food for Thought, a ministry out of Christ Episcopal Church in Westerly. Thank you again for joining us. And so there are about 7 people on board. Good afternoon, Natalie. How are you doing? You're like one of our high fans. I love it. If you're, I think Stevie Blanchette is watching. Jan is watching. Hi, Jan. How are you doing? Good to see you. I love seeing your picture with your grandson there and his graduation. It's beautiful. I think also there are going to be many other people who are going to tune in as well. But please say hello to us. Acknowledge that you are a part of our conversation. I think Meg Frost is watching. Meg, say hello so that they know that we're all connected in some way here. And if you can share this stream on your Facebook page and all around so that people can connect with us. I think Simi is on board too. Simi is watching, and she is on her way to work as well. But she's hopefully she's not watching and driving. But she's there. And tomorrow, Simi and I, tomorrow's session has been pre-recorded, and it's a conversation with Simi and I. Simi and I were in a conversation with Ben, our producer, and so hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Hi, Meg. How are you? Good to see your smiling face to all of us. So there are many people who are on board with us on Facebook Live, but they're also on board in the very many different platforms that we have. So again, please do share with your friends who might be interested in our conversations. And our conversations have been very interesting. We've had some really amazing guests on board this program, and it's a program that I find to be very refreshing and inspiring, because I'm connecting with people and then with all of our parishioners, and then some outside of our geographical area. We're connecting with all of these folks, but we're also connecting with the people who are interviewing with us, the people who are giving us their insights. And all of these people are people who are just living a wonderful journey, walking this journey of life, this challenging journey. And the insights that they give us are insights which encourage each one of us in our own walk. I think it's an important thing that we have these wonderful conversations, because it helps us as we go through this particular challenge. And again, I am resonating with what Bobby Allardyce said just yesterday, where she told us that Bobby Allardyce, one of our parishioners who dearly loved parishioners, her and her husband Fred, also a deeply dedicated vestry person and parishioner of Christ Church. It was wonderful in their conversation. They gave us so many nuggets of wisdom, but one that stuck with me throughout the rest of yesterday, that helped me to kind of continue to keep hopeful, was that wonderful thing that her mother used to tell her whenever they were going through some challenges. She said, "And this too, honey, will pass. This too will pass." The challenges that we have will pass, will end at one time. It's the lessons that we learn from this challenge and how we approach this challenge, not only this challenge, but all the challenges of our life, that really help define who we are as a people. And maybe even how we face these challenges speaks to who we are as faithful people of Christ. And so I love connecting in this ministry in this way, because we get to speak to these people who are walking their own challenges, walking through their own challenges as we all are, and giving us wisdom and insight. Today's guest is one that'll give us a great deal of wisdom. I've I've known Bishop Joslin. That's who we're having today. I've known Bishop Joslin for close to over 20 years now. I think it's close to 20 years. I met him in the Diocese of New Jersey when I first began my ministry at Trinity Church in Vineland. He was the assisting bishop at that time, and had a wonderful respect for him at that time. And when I was, and I'll tell you, when I was interviewing for this position at Christ Church, when I heard that Bishop Joslin was the former rector here, and in fact he was the interim for a little bit, I was so very happy, and I asked our search committee of over 5 years ago that if I could just meet with him and talk with him. And Simi and I met with Bishop, and it was just wonderful to reconnect with this wonderful saint of the church. So Bishop Joslin, as you might know, was rector of Christ Church Westerly at one time, and he'll give us the exact years. I don't want to make a mistake on those exact years, but he was here for at least 12 years as rector, and it was during a time in which the church was coming from a chaotic transition. He stabilized it, and then he left it strong and powerful, and then he went on to do ministry at St. Stephen's Edina in Minnesota. And then after that ministry, he was called to be Bishop of Central New York, and he stayed bishop in Central New York, and then retired and did wonderful ministry there. And then luckily, we at Christ Church have him. He and his wife Catherine came back and retired here in Westerly, in this wonderful ministry in this community. And he's been a part of this ministry. And then, of course, when Catherine died, it was very sad for all of us. But then he found joy again in and married again with Melissa, and they were married here at Christ Church, and both of them are a blessing to us. So Ben, please bring Bishop Joslin on board so that we could have a conversation. Hi, Bishop. How are you?
I'm on board.
You're on board. Yes, you are.
But don't rock the boat.
No, you never rock the boat. You never. Bishop, there's so many people who are saying good afternoon. Look at this. There's so many people who just want to see you. And yeah,
I'm here. I'm not all there.
You are there. You just reminded me of that wonderful song, "Here I Am, Lord."
Yes, right.
So, Bishop, how are you doing at home?
Well, better than I thought we would. I've been thinking a lot about the changes that have come into all of our lives because of this. And I was even listening a while ago to a program about the economy and speculation about the impact long term of staying in your home as much as we are. And the anticipation is that a lot of people will find their work will be at home rather than in the office. And that has an impact on transportation. It has an impact on the rental value of the offices where you would have been. All kinds. Of course, you start speculating and you come up with the worst possible thing that could happen. But it is a very interesting thing. We'll have to watch and see how it goes. I've been impressed with the fact that most of the people with whom I talk are doing quite well with the staying at home. A little bit of boredom, couples hear the same jokes over and over, and that kind of thing. But I do think there is a sort of underground of being cooped up this way, and that may very well have contributed to some of the energy that went into the riots that we've had. That's a classic expectation, and so that's a thing to think about. Your conversation with your spouse's conversation with each other. We need to replenish our jokes. The fifth time you heard the same joke, it's not quite as powerful as the first time. But on the other hand, I think this has afforded us time to relax, and time to have conversations that otherwise would not have happened. We're valuing a chance to. We spend a lot of time going down to the ocean in Mikapag, and just watching the ocean and seeing how things are going there and so on. It's very, very, very nice. And we've come to taking drives in the car, and that's a very, very helpful thing. I know there must be people though who are just very, very frustrated with being cooped up this way, especially if you're an extrovert, you need to talk with people, and sometimes it's a little more difficult to do that. But we've been coming along, and most of the people I meet have been doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, you're right. I know I feel cooped up at home, and it's interesting that you say this because tomorrow Simi and I are going to be on the Food for Thought too. But just thinking about how our life has changed because of this COVID crisis. All 3 of our boys are back at home with us. We've had to renegotiate. Before they were in college, and I'll tell you, there was a little bit of a freedom that we were feeling, Simi and I, and now that they were away, and when they came back home, all of a sudden we loved it initially, right? Having them come back home, we said, "Oh my God, it's good. We'll have dinner together and everything." But then we had to cook and then the clean and then after them, and they're adults almost, and so it was kind of wearisome for a couple of weeks after the initial. And then what we did is we started to renegotiate some of those things that we were thinking about doing together, and I imagine like with any couple, even if you don't have the kids coming back home for college and staying with you guys, or the schools and so forth, if their schools aren't in session, being with each other inside, cooped up for a while, it can be tiresome unless there's something new let's learn from that situation.
I'm thinking about education in the future. We have 2 grandchildren who just graduated from high school.
I know.
And we were able to watch it via the electronics, which was great. But I'm also thinking one of our grandsons is home from college, and he's taking courses this summer. I think we want to know the effect of trying to take courses electronically, and that's got to change a lot as opposed to being, say, in a lecture hall and hearing a professor there. What changes, and we don't know. It may be perfect, it may be better. Certainly, it might be cheaper. On the other hand, that creates enormous financial problems for colleges and universities.
Yes,
and so we've got a lot of things to work through.
Yeah, I think like even I know that the 2 grandchildren, Daniel and Sarah, who graduated.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the idea was, and I feel so sorry. I feel a little sorry for the graduating classes this year, because all of the pomp, the circumstance, the party, the gathering together, the celebration part is kind of a little bit diminished because we're so isolated from one another. But on the flip side, I also saw like the teachers and schools are making extra effort to connect with those kids, and in fact, I saw Paul, your son's or Sarah's, Elizabeth's graduation, I think, and she actually had a podium, and her teachers came around her, and socially distant, of course, and they gave her their degree. I think that was what I thought I saw.
Well, they came up with, I thought, a rather imaginative thing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of school districts came up with something. In Elizabeth's case, they pre-recorded. Elizabeth did the class speech. They pre-recorded that, and they did other things that eventually were pasted together. And nobody was there. You were all home, etc. Now, one benefit is you're sitting there watching the program and hearing the names, and there were 500 names in Daniel's school, and we were there watching. They're all read alphabetically, and T is at the end of the alphabet. So there, in a way, it was good. You could get up and get a Coke or something while you were waiting for the T to come up. Elizabeth was better because J is earlier in the alphabet. But what they did, which I thought was great, the diploma was taken to each person's home.
Yeah.
They had a little platform
That's what
a teacher would come out and put down, and you would stand on the platform in your gown, and they would, with great formality, hand it to you. This was preceded by a school bus and a fire truck. And they came in, and they were making noises with the siren and all the rest. And people would gather on the streets and start to clap and so on. So they be substituted for the normal way with some drama. And I thought that was a wonderful thing. And I've heard of other schools that have done that same sort of thing. But, we are adaptable as an animal, and we'll get through this.
And yeah, I think that speaks to our creativity as humanity. The idea that whatever the case may, whatever the situation is, we're called to adapt. We have to, and then we think outside of the box, and we're creative. I love that. I love the idea that those teachers in Elizabeth's graduation made it special for her. And I think in Westerly we're doing the same thing. Our school system is very engaging. Our community is very close, and I know that they care about our graduating seniors. I mean, I have a young man across the street who's graduating, who graduated this year, and there was a lot of fanfare, and we were just joyful with them.
I think a lot of schools have picked that up and have drama as a substitute for people sitting in a room with 500 graduates, and they're all their families and so forth. And it's good to see the imagination.
Yeah, you know what, Bishop, you made me chuckle a little bit when you were saying that they were reading the names, and then you would get up and go get a Coke in between. And I'm thinking, wait a second, when my sermon comes up, is that what you're doing?
Well, I'll tell you, I when you're preaching, I get the Coke before. I have it right there.
Yeah, just to get that extra caffeine in, just in case.
There was something on TV this morning. I watch a lot of TV now, and I only have pieces of the story, but I think it's an interesting story. A woman singer in England died at 105. She came to fame as a singer in World War I. And then in World War II, picked up singing. And I think she's the woman who became famous singing that song, "I'm going to get pickled when the lights go on in London." And then they finished off the story with a part of the Queen's speech of encouragement to people. And I noticed, I watched that Queen's speech very carefully because I enjoyed trying to figure out where the phrases came from. And she had part of her speech picking up phrases that were in vogue with Churchill and so forth during World War II.
Yes.
One was, and this was the finished thing, and he tied in with a song. "We will see each other again." Yeah. I think her speech was a very fine speech, and those phrases that can tie people together are very important. Now, there are other things that can happen. Your spouse can come up with all kinds of things that need to be done around the house. And I've been working at that. And in a way, I'm glad. It's almost as good as getting around to it. Those round things you get. And if you have around to it, you can do all the things you were going to do when you got around to it. So that's been a plus. And I suspect that that's true of some other people too. I've talked with some others who are engaged in doing work around the house.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work around our house too. I mean, we planted some plants and everything, and we're trying to, now I find myself, because we're at home all the time, trying to figure out what to do here, and I notice the things that are not right,
Yes.
And so it's hard a little bit. It's good, and it's hard, and we're doing things together.
It's a challenge to the country. It's a challenge to all the people. To how do you function when you're cooped up? Number one. Number two, how do you function when people are being laid off, or furloughed and so forth? And that's a financial issue. And I think there are going to be a lot of financial consequences that we haven't anticipated. Some good, many bad. I also think that, I think I mentioned this to you, John Coburn, who eventually was the Bishop of Massachusetts, but before that, when I was going to seminary the second time, he was the dean of Episcopal Theological School and president of the House of Deputies, all in one. And he came back from a general convention, I think it was 1964. And he said, "I wish there were a way that we would never have convention during the year of a presidential election." And his point was that elections stir people up, often in a negative way. And there's tension that's built into the society for all kinds of ways, and in ways you didn't anticipate. And he said that all of that creeps into our common life.
Yeah.
So that's another test that we're going through simultaneously with this business of being cooped up and not able to do all the things that you can do. Now, on the other hand, I've talked with a number of people who are doing some things around their house, as you've just alluded to. Some of them, my son and his wife have gotten a frog pond. Now, I don't think that I would put a frog pond at the top of my list. They dug this thing and so forth. And I found on TV this morning a little snippet of a picture of somebody who had a big pond out in the back, about the size of a bathtub, and in it was a bear splashing around. So I sent it to Paul, and I said, "Why did you do this instead of a frog pond?" And I'm waiting to hear back from him. But this bear was having a wonderful time, and I don't think I want a bear in my backyard, but we'll take whatever we can for interest.
That's right. Bishop, we haven't, before this crisis, we used to meet almost every week, once a week in the office. We'd have some time together, and I cherish those moments. And even though we can't do this, I resonate with what you just said before about we're still connected. We're still connected, and knowing that you're there, you and Missy are there, that we're in this community together, that your prayers are present, makes this whole challenge so much easier. I thank you for your friendship and your guidance, not only for me but also to our church. It's a joy and a privilege.
Well, Christ Church means a great deal to us, and we have very warm memories from the past and enjoyment of present relationships, and so it's important for us.
Yeah,
and we're glad that you're there. I do think you might have more energy.
Well, yeah. Sometimes, it's hard. It's hard to, even 20 years ago when we first met, you kind of knew that about me. It's hard for me to sit down in one place.
I've observed that.
That's why I look to you, people like you, for wisdom. Well, thank you for joining us, Bishop, and hopefully you'll come back again. And please give our love and regards to Missy.
Missy has been a great blessing for many people, and especially me. And she doesn't like to be out front too much, but she's very supportive and cares a lot about people.
Yeah. Well, God bless you again. Thank you, Bishop, and we'll please continue to keep us in your prayers.
Very good. I will.
All right. Thank you, Bishop. Bye. Friends, again, another example of a wonderful, wise person who's in our circle of connection and influence. And the bishop is praying for us. He continues to give us wisdom and understanding, and as we counsel with him. And it is a joy to have him and Missy in our community. So, as is our tradition in this program, what we do is at the end of this session, we say together a prayer for those who are for us who are suffering through this particular challenge, and knowing that God will give us a way to find a path through it, and we'll be stronger because of it. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Jesus Christ, you traveled through towns and villages, curing every disease and illness. At your command, the sick were made well. Come to our aid now in the midst of the global spread of the coronavirus. Heal those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Be present with those in authority who are making hard decisions. Support the medical professionals, emergency responders, teachers and students, pastors and priests, and our caregivers. We ask this all in your name, Jesus. Amen. Join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Friends, go into the world, spreading the light of Christ, the light of hope. The world needs it right now.
Thanks for watching. Did you know that you can join Christ Church from anywhere in the world? If you're feeling connected to what we're doing, email us today at communicate@christchurchwesterly.org.